Hey, Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. Today we're going to show you how to use these guys to deal with unwanted vegetation in your pasture or yard. Before we get kicking, the Farm Where You Live Festival is going to be April 15th in Asheville, North Carolina. Probably going to be one of the last times you see us for the year in a space like that. All right, so here it is. We got a bunch of sheep in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a baby, okay? Over here, we got the boys set up. Now, naturally, if you have problems, we're dealing with a place, and we've talked about it numerous times, where we are still playing catch up from the previous owners. We've gotten ahead on some things, other things have fallen back, we've gotten busy, that happens. But one of the scourges that everybody hates is something called multiflora rose, okay? For where you live, it might very well be, you may have too many mimosa. You may have a number of other things out there that you consider a scourge. Well, in the words of the great Bill Mollison, and this is the way we view just about everything, the problem is the solution. So we got some multiflora rose over here in one of the areas we've been cleaning up, and we're gonna see just how effectively these little sheepies over here get it done. Now, before we get hot and heavy on all that, I wanna first say we got them in this sheep fence right now, and it's been repaired numerous times. Stay tuned in the future because we're going to be doing a lot of changes as far as how we graze them and how we get them through difficult paddocks. The problem areas that we have are right over here. That's multiflora rose, and we got a lot of it. And it's there. The only reason a lot of these things express themselves is because your land was either abused, you have too much of one thing, too little of another, but we know how to solve it. So the first thing we're going to do is take this net, back it up to there, put it around that multiflora rose, and then we're going to add another net to it. All right, so just so you know, you get some context with the way we do our grazing here, they're not always gonna have the same area for any period of time, or they might be there, they move often. So right where I'm standing is where that first net was set up. It was right about here. And what we found out, we'll let them graze that for a day, add another net to it, and they'll bypass this whole area that they've previously grazed, and they'll go straight to the stuff they want. Now we got a few shy ones in there. We'll just see where they go. Let's watch them. All right, this is what gives me the most joy is when we put animals out on new ground, which happens every single day. So it's pretty awesome that it's the first thing we do every day. Now, typical, when we will let them out, they'll graze the edges. And then if you can look at this one over there right now, and some of the ones down in the bottom, they're already working on that multiflora rose, at least the small succulent kind of stuff. They're gonna wear this down. In fact, the one right over there, we'll see if we can get a little bit closer, but they're still a little skittish. But they're working. After hitting the edges with the grass, they're actually working on that multiflora rose. They will wear that stuff out. Now, here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna let them be for a while. This, where they're working down there, I'm gonna kind of move slow so they don't get spooked. They're gonna work that, and you can look at the baby that's a week and just 3 days old. She's already out here grazing. How cool is that? But this stuff right here, this multiflora rose, everything that they can hit down below, they are going to hit it. That's why we say the problem is the solution, because you don't necessarily have a insect problem. Maybe you got a lack of chickens problem. You don't have a grasshopper problem. Maybe you got a lack of turkeys problem. It's the way that you look at it, not in a reductionistic sense, but in a holistic sense. And that's what we do in permaculture. That's what makes this so enjoyable. So we're gonna let them go for now. We're gonna come back a little bit later, and we're gonna see how well they hit all this trouble stuff right here. Another beautiful thing is that they're gonna wear this thing out enough to when I don't want it here. So they're gonna wear this stuff out to where I can get in there with a sawzall or even a chainsaw in some cases and then finish it up. But they are doing the lion's share of my work. How cool is that? All right, here we are later in the day, and ordinarily this would be the time we're putting them up, but the hours changed on us. How about that? The powers that shouldn't be told us they're gonna change the clocks on us, and they did. So hey, it's we do this an hour later, but it gives us a great time to talk about what transpired since we were gone. Now, before I get into that real quick, remember, we got a butchery coming up with Sow the Land. That's going to be coming up real soon. You can check out the description box down below to get all the details on that. It's probably going to be the last butchery class I do this year. So be there, be square. We got 2 of them coming up. We're going to scald a pig and we're going to skin one. So it applies to no matter what you're doing. Now, here we are with Michelle's little bottle baby, who, by the way, is doing fantastic. Why don't you put him down so everybody can see him run? These guys have already been working in some areas that are pretty inhospitable. I mean, I know you can't get a sense of scale here or angle, but this is a very steep hill going this way. Michelle, what did they do so far over here?
So far, if you look at these smaller multiflora roses, they've wiped the leaves off of them. So, like some of the taller ones, they can't necessarily reach to the top, but a lot of the ones that are at their browsing height, they've completely taken out the leaves.
Yeah, but here's what's really cool, is that they wipe out everything they can get at browsing height. Now, if this were pigs, because we use pigs for almost the same exact thing, I will literally throw their food up in that multiflora rose, and I feed them like things like rice and stuff like that. They will uproot that stuff for me. But let's go over here and I'm going to show you the awesome things the animals do for us, and they can do the same exact thing for you. Here is the benefit of what the animals can do for you. And this is a war. Remember, you don't win this war in miles. You win it in inches, especially when you're trying to play recovery to land that was really, really jacked up. Now, they've eaten everything generally from here down. They got another day in this paddock, so they're going to hit it even more. But this right here, I am able to use at this point. And here's how. They basically cleared it and made it possible for me to get up in here without getting all scratched up. So check this out. So I can yank this out. Here's a couple of things we do. We'll yank it out about this far, and they will eat the rest of it. So why take out free food? I mean, I can sit here and take it and put it up on the bone sauce pile where I'll burn, or I could just leave it right here. They'll go through, they'll clean that off completely. Then I can take the rest of it and put it on the pile that I'm going to use for bone sauce. Stuff like this, they're still working on it, and it's still at browsing height. This is what they're going to hit. In fact, this is what we find out. Every single time we put them, and Michelle, tell me if I'm wrong here, but every single time we put them into a new paddock, if there are saplings of black locust, what's the first thing they eat?
Yeah, they go for the saplings. And also, if you paid attention, when you cut that tree down and dragged it over, Walter was back there looking like he was expecting somebody to throw the tree to him.
Yeah, that's exactly what they expect. In fact, we might just go ahead and do that. In fact, we'll just go ahead and do it to show you. Every single time we tear this stuff down, see, it may be a thorn in your side, forgive the pun, but this is the best thing in the world for these guys. And goats will absolutely girdle this stuff. These hair sheep eat just about everything a goat will, but without the management issues. So check this out. These guys, they're already, look at them. They're already wondering, hey, do I want to come over here and get this? And I'm going to let them. But right now, I'm going to give this over to Walter, our old one over there, and let's just see what they do with it. Okay, we got work to do in these pastures, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's getting better every year. In the future, we're going to talk about some of the mistakes we've made, not out of complete negligence, but more out of a need of being spread entirely too wide. Now, I do want to point out, right here, those are little buds, little leaves of comfrey coming up here. We got some there. We got some there. We got some all throughout this entire pasture. We're about to put some up in the silver pasture area. We're about to put some up the hill. Here's what I'm getting at. If you ever purchased any comfrey from us and you're wondering where you can put it or what you can do with it, well, think about it. When it becomes a little mature and you split it, one of the areas in which you can put it is out in your pasture. So they can literally, and they will, I promise you, when we hit this grazing cell up here, one of the first things they'll hit right after this multiflora rose is sitting here, I guarantee is going to be that comfrey. They will eat all that we put in here. So if you're wondering, okay, I bought this comfrey, what do I do with it? Right here is one good place where you can put it because it's medicine right there in your pasture. It's also a lot of protein, a lot of B12, a lot of awesome things that Comfrey does because it is a dynamic accumulator. Think about all these different things, no matter what it is. Like great Sepp Holzer said, if that animal doesn't do it, then you got to do it. So even if I have to put my hands on it, at least allow them to make it easier for you to do. What's wrong with that? All right, y'all, thank you so much for your support. If you want to support us, check us out down below. Remember, don't forget that ballin' podcast called the Permaculture Pimpcast. Till next time, this is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm, where permaculture is my passion. And all of this is permaculture. We'll see you next time.